Welcome to another episode of SOS Creativity TV and FM. Let me read out the statistics for you pretty quickly. This statistics is updated 24th of March 2021, and it says 4 in 10 businesses report having cybersecurity breaches or attack in the last 12 months. That's 40% of businesses reported. What about the other businesses that didn't report due to shame? On today's episode, we're going to be looking at 3 security tips to protect your website. If you haven't already, I would appreciate you subscribing to the channel because every single week we create valuable content like this one to add value to you. If you're watching on video, fantastic. If you're listening on podcast, amazing as well. We create this episode on both platforms because some people love watching the videos and some people love listening to the audio. But with that being said, let's jump straight into the first point we're looking at today. The first point we're going to be looking at is brute force prevention. What exactly does brute force prevention mean? Well, when it comes to hacking or breaching your website, there are typically 2 things a hacker have to try and guess. One is the username and the other is the password. Brute force prevention, what that does is when you have that functionality on your website, it stops the hacker trying to use automated system to guess the username and or password. Because if you think about it, for example, one of the ways a hacker will use to get into your website is through what's called a dictionary attack, meaning they're literally trying every single possible word within the dictionary to try and get into your website. But if you have brute force prevention on board, you might restrict that to maybe 3 attempts, 5 attempts, 2 attempts, depending on the level of complexity you want it to be, which means when you try and log in after that amount of times and you've not got in, you're unable to get into the website. The first one I gave you is a technical one. The second one is a very, very simple one, which is keeping your website up to date. One of the things you find on websites, especially WordPress websites, I'm talking about WordPress because it powers 45 to 55% of all websites across the entire World Wide Web. That's why I'm talking about WordPress website. One of the things you find is the fact that most people don't update their website, meaning the theme are well out of date, the plugins are well out of date, the WordPress core files are well out of date. The reason updates are made is because they prevent what loophole or what gap they've spotted in the previous versions. Therefore, by taking the simple step of updating your website, updating the theme, the plugins, whatever you need to update, you keep your website a lot more secure. And finally, I gave you a technical point on the first one that's achievable if with a few research or asking the right people. I gave you a simple one. The third one I'm going to give you is quite a complex one, which is securing the most important directories. What exactly does that mean? So if you've added brute force prevention on your website, that stops the outsider trying to get in. If you update your website, that keeps it at a basic level. But this third point is quite technical because yes, you might have brute force prevention. Yes, you might update your website, but the more sophisticated attacks can still get in. That's like the 1% of 1% attacks, but they can still get in. One of the extra ways you can prevent that from happening is by restricting your directories to a certain IP address. For example, I used WordPress as an example earlier. I'm going to use that again. So in the WordPress file structure, there are 3 folders that are very, very important to the operation of your website. If you were to restrict those directories, logging into the back end of them to a certain IP address, say your office, you then know that before anyone can get into that file or those folders, they need to be on your premises. That is as secure as you can get. I'd love to hear from you. If you've ever had a website hacked, if you've ever gone through that experience, leave it in the comments. What did that feel like to you? How did you manage that process? And let's discuss about it. My name is Stephen and I'm the director of SOS Creativity. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate you giving this video or podcast a thumbs up, and don't forget to join the notification squad once you've subscribed to the channel. Till next week, have a wonderful day and bye for now.